Before there was Minecraft on the 3DS, there was BattleMiner, released November 20th of 2014. After BattleMiner came out, there was Cube Creator 3D, released April 23rd of 2015. And finally, on September 13th of 2017, Minecraft New Nintendo 3DS Edition was released. Cube Creator was most definitely trying to imitate Minecraft, while BattleMiner did its own thing, such as having you unlock recipes by rescuing survivors, and even had a PvP mode where you could play locally with your friends. Hopefully this video will hit you with a blast of nostalgia as we answer the question, can you beat BattleMiner 3DS using only wood? The rules are simple. Wood is the only resource we can collect and use. This limits us to 5 items total, which are the wooden pickaxe, the wood crossbow, wooden bolts, wooden door, and wood blocks. Quest rewards may not be used and will just be stowed in our inventory until the end of the run, unless the reward is an item listed above. The game will be considered beaten after we have unlocked the final recipe, the rifle, which is given by the 33rd survivor. To preface the story, which is shared by the survivors after being rescued, there's just a couple things to note. There was a nuclear war that caused most of humanity to be eliminated, and as a result of this war, ants mutated and became giant. Their sizes aren't all that changed though, as some of these ants now have abilities, such as lobbing balls of fire at you or jumping like a 6 or 7-year-old fueled by a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. These ants also seemingly became lethally aggressive and have one thing on their mind, which is to kill the remaining survivors. This is where our story begins. After successfully astral projecting into the world of BattleMiner using a PS5 controller and some time on cool math games, we do what most middle-aged men can't: get wood. Unfortunately, we don't have much to work with, I blame my father, so we start chopping trees. I know what you're thinking. Why in tarnation are you using a pickaxe to chop wood? Hasn't Kaman 18 taught you anything? And to that I say, this is BattleMiner, not Minecraft, and there's not an axe, just the wooden thing breaker tool. After chopping down enough trees to make the entire hippie community turn on me, I follow my compass to what should be north, but is instead a man on top of what I can only assume to be the North Pole. This dummy got himself surrounded by ghosts and decided to figuratively shit in my inventory, by giving me crap I can't use, specifically a pistol and some bullets. I shove it where the sun don't shine, my bag, and head on towards the next survivor. On my way, I notice something impressive, specifically the chromatic aberration. At the next survivor tower, we meet the first doofus of the game, as he is surrounded by 3 ants. The first one died easily, the second disappeared into the water, and the third one just needed to be spanked. This game has one downside, and it's the fact that you can't drop things, meaning the acid I got from the ants is useless. The man I so graciously saved rewarded me with bullets, but seeing as I'm not into that stuff, I'll just gift it to your mom next Christmas. Now the compass points towards fake north, so we set off gathering more wood along the way so we can pick some more ants to death. This time, the screaming damsel gave me a new recipe called dipping your bullet in acid. That sounds too kinky for my liking, so I don't think I will be doing that. I traveled through a snow biome. This time I was certain I was headed north for hopefully obvious reasons, at least until I realized it was pointing towards some guy surrounded by ants. So I took care of them and saved the guy. At this point, I hope you know the gameplay loop. Get materials, find guys, wreck ants, repeat. Guy number 5 told me the first real interesting thing that resembles a story, and it's that there are fire ants that drop explosive material. Why, you may be asking? Well, according to Northman 5, it's the radioactive fallout that made them this way. On the way to Northman 6, I got my wood count up to 152 and decided to test a theory I had. The fire and blue ants shoot balls at you, and these balls break blocks. So, what if there's a 2-block tall door between you and that ant's balls? Well, the door doesn't break, but since it doesn't have a full block's collision, I still got hurt inside my little rectubicle, and actually died. I respawned right back where I died, I don't know why, and realized there was only one way out of this, and that was to beat the crap out of the ants with my wooden thing breaker tool. Once the ants were dispatched, I went to retrieve my untouched doors, which actually was cool they didn't get hurt, but I never used the doors after this except to keep my hotbar from feeling bland. Northman 6 said he had plenty of grenades and decided to share them with me. I don't know if he's smart or dumb, but as a wise man once said, don't throw grenades at the base of your tower. I think that was Yoda. I was traveling to Northman 7 when I spotted a rocket ship without the fins, so I righted a wrong and added them. With a nod yes and my back turned, I set off in a line as straight as my dad's friend Mr. Popo, who wears a blue uniform and handcuffs not just criminals, but people he meets at the bubble bar my dad goes to when mom is hanging out with her boyfriend. At Northman 7, I dispatched the final ant with my wooden thing breaker tool, and at long last learned the recipe that would be my best friend for the next 2 hours and 9 minutes. The crossbow and bolts. This weapon is cool because it's cheap, easy to stock up on, and most importantly, is crafted using only wood. Also, it can zoom in and has travel time. Yay. Northman 7 also said, I see you use guns, but never explained where he got that idea. Maybe it's because I'm an American, like the cheese. After a perfect 2069 spin, I stepped outside my comfort zone and crafted over 1,000 bolts for my crossbow. No joke. Will it be enough for the whole run? No, it won't. Almost, but not quite. Northman 8 was probably 20% cooler than the other Northmen because he'd been aura farming for too long. How could I tell, you may ask? I could just see it in his face. He gave me some bolts and I made my way towards what I can only assume is the 9th of the 33 Northmen twins. I feel bad for their mother. On my way to the next Northman, I turned another pillar into a lopsided rocket ship, and right after, I killed a night ant. Why is this ant significant? Because the clip of me clipping his ant ass is really weird looking if you don't know what I'm doing. For some reason, when you zoom in or out, the bolt skips the reload animation, allowing you to shoot about 33% faster. I don't know if that number is accurate, but it's definitely faster. Northman 9 was pretty much the same as the others. He gave me some upgraded grenade schematics, or at least told me I can dip grenades into acid to make a better bomb, and said something special. These ants are everywhere these days. That implies there was a time when the ants weren't so common. Northman 10 had grenades that he didn't use to save himself for some reason, and had nothing interesting to say. Northman 11 was surrounded by ants that I tried to take out at a distance, but my shots were slow, so I rushed in with my wooden Fangbreaker tool and whacked a blue ant like 6 to 9 times, and ended up dying. Have I mentioned yet that I don't have a way to heal? At least, within the boundaries of the challenge, so dying is the only way to heal myself. Anyway, Northman 11 taught me all about these things called clothes, and told me I can make it by ripping apart the corpses of my dead enemies or something like that. Northman 12 was more of the same. Red and blue ants shoot me while brown ants run around like a kid in the drawing class without their special powers helmet. He gave me chitin and didn't progress the narrative any further, so after dying again, I left to find Northman 13, who was conveniently north of where I was. Northman 13 was surrounded by 5 ants, so I gathered wood while near the trees and wrecked some ants, saving the dude who's so high he might as well be on a tower. He taught me how to dip crossbow bolts into tums or antacid or something like that, but since it's not just wood, we can't use it. Northman 14 was obviously a similar story, except I didn't die despite being at such low health. He gave me some of the bolts we just learned to craft, but seeing as how he doesn't understand what it means to reward someone, I put them into my bag, never to see the light of day again, then walked off pissed. Northman 15 was the first one I tried using stealth to overcome, and it worked well, at least this time. You see, since arrows take so long to travel, the ants will notice they're getting hit and move out of the way of your stream of arrows. That results in wasted arrows and missed shots. It did do the trick here though. I was taught the SMG blueprint and went along my way. Northman 16 had 6 ants around him, which I took on with half a heart, and during this fight, something interesting happened. When you die, you drop your weapon, leaving you with an empty hand. I was fighting a soldier ant when it hit me, died, and my weapon broke, all at the same time. I thought I was maybe in a glitch state, so I took a fireball to the face just to see and lost a second crossbow. In case it wasn't obvious, I was just at like 1 HP. Mr. Number 16 said he had some spare bullets. Again, those are useless, but he said the first important thing in a while. I wish the radiation hadn't made the ants mutate. Same bro. Northman 17 was another fight during which I died, in which I only lost a crossbow. After I died and resurrected, I took care of the rest of the ants without taking any damage. Seriously, Broski 17 taught me about piercing bullets, which are apparently effective against soldier ants, which doesn't really help us, but hey, the more you know. Northman 18 was the least interesting, as I took 1 heart of damage total. He said, "Thank you, here you go," and handed me some of the bullets we can't use. There was one thing, I guess, which was that time passes while you're in a text box. So I stared at his Giga Chad face until his aura farm was complete, which was coincidentally when the sun was setting. On the way to number 19, I stared at my inventory, looking at all the useful items I couldn't use. They were just taunting me. At number 19's tower, I did some crossbow sniping, which is a lot less interesting than you could even imagine. And the last 3 ran after me, causing me to snipe them from like 2 feet away. At that point, we'll call it snooping. His tower was the weirdest as there was not a door. I walked around and around, but to no avail. I broke a window, stepped inside, got my reward, which was again something useless. I was headed towards number 20 when I came across the goat, but there can only be one. I rescued Northman 20, dying once during the skirmish and getting a reward of piercing bolts, which I will say one last time is a reward we can't use. Northman 21 had 7 ants around him, 4 were soldiers, the other 3 ranged, which resulted in a W for me and reduced KD ratio for everyone else. It was at this guy that I realized something. If you jump onto the guy, when you exit the dialogue, you will take 2.5 hearts of damage. Realizing this, I tried to save an exit, and when I spawned back in, the guy was gone and I was off the tower. Basically, nothing special happened. While headed in Northman 22, I chopped some trees and saw something weird, specifically a tree with ore in place of one of the logs. While it wasn't particularly crazy, it was cool nonetheless. At the next tower, the one belonging to Northman 22, I had to fight 8 ants. This is also the first time that we had to deal with the Barney ants, specifically the ones that drop pheromones and jump at you. They have lots of health, and once they catch you, they kill you in like 3 seconds. I accidentally skipped past the dialogue of this guy, but if I pause it, you can see what he says. I have some piercing bullets to share. I made these before the war, just in case something like this happened. He's obviously one of those conspiracy theorists that's stupid for finding his own truth. Northman 23 was where I first got wrecked by a purple ant. This was annoying, but minor compared to what has happened in the past, as all I lost was a crossbow, and that's equal to a few wood blocks. I took a few pot shots at a nearby goat, missed, gave up, and talked to the guy named 23. Unrelated, but the movie The Number 23 with Jim Carrey playing a serious role is really good. Don't listen to the haters. This guy taught me to craft a shotgun and its ammo. Northman 24 was easy to save, but all he gave me was some shotgun shells. Number 25 was more or less the same. I killed the ants without dying, and was given the recipe for pheromone grenades, which act like ant lures. I have never used them, even though they might be useful. I wouldn't know. Northman 26 is where I died again, this time underwater, which showed me there's nothing rendered under the water, which is useless but cool to see regardless. He gave me the pheromone grenades, which he admits to not using, and says, "We really are a long way out, aren't we?" Northman 27 was cool because he taught me a good recipe that we can't use, which is explosive bolts. He is a very basic bitch with nothing to say. Outside Northman 28's tower, I got absolutely prison dogpiled by the purple ants, which I hope to no one's surprise led to my untimely death. However, after respawning, I Epsteined the last few and was given some of the explosive bolts from the recipe we just learned. Number 29 was surrounded by 9 ants, which is a lot in case that wasn't obvious, but I did defeat them all, with 1.5 hearts remaining. The final ant was my favorite, because even though the survivor needed to be saved, he just stood in his house with a purple ant touching him like my uncle touched. Most of the jokes in my videos are just that, jokes. Don't take them too seriously. He gave us the recipe for diamond armor, and we flip him off and make our merry way to whatever North decides to be at that moment. We're getting close to the end now. We're left with just 5 more survivors to help not become debtors. Survivor 30 had 8 ants, which I think was weird as there were 9 around the last one, but regardless of the amount, I still died pretty much the moment I got there. When the coast was clear, I went and talked to Homeboy, who made me wildly uncomfortable, talking about how he does a lot of mining. I'm pretty sure that's just an innuendo, and to solidify my belief, the last thing he said, without ever breaking eye contact or his smirk, was, "I feel very lonely out here." I don't want this video to get age restricted, but I left that building with 10 diamonds. Northman 31 was almost easy to save, until Barney the ant started jumping me because I killed its 8 other ant sisters. I respawned, took my vengeance, and talked to Northman 31, who taught me how to make the best ammo in the game, specifically the explosive bullets. But the last 2 sentences he spoke caught my attention. "It's terrible that we've ended up like this. Ants almost rule the planet now. That means all our work has been for naught, as the ants just keep multiplying, and all we can do is save the Northmen, sending them to the Rapture, or at least that's what I like to imagine, because they disappear after you reload or return to where they were." Northman 32 is almost the last guy we gotta save, as we have one more recipe to unlock, and that's the rifle. I died again fighting these 9 ants, but I took 4 of 9 down with me before my untimely demise, and respawned to mess the rest shit up, which I did. Broski32 gave me some explosive bullets and called me the Lonely Survivor, which I can only hope is a reference to the Soul Survivor. Finally, Northman 33, the final damsel in distress. I killed the ants, they killed me, and I killed the rest, and rescued the princess atop the tower. As my reward, I was given the recipe for the rifle, which is accurate, fully automatic, high durability, high damage, especially with explosive rounds, and most importantly, unusable, because the only thing we want in our right hand is wood. With all recipes unlocked, we can definitely say, yes, you can beat BATTLEMINER 3DS using only wood. Should you do this? No. It wasn't boring, but by the 7th guy you have plateaued and the enemies just get harder and harder, leaving you begging for something more. No, I'm clearly not good at this game, but as you can probably tell from me dying a million times, but if you think you can do better, take this as a challenge. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If you liked the game, please check out Wobbly Tooth Games here on YouTube. He is a solo indie developer and has been making games for years, primarily in the open world survival genre, with 1 or 2 outliers. For anyone who doesn't know, Wobbly Tooth is the guy that made Ice Station Z, which actually has a Fortnite port. No joke, and it's made by him. Don't forget to join the Discord server, the link to which is in the channel description. We always love seeing new faces. I want to give a special thank you to Mewy, Jared, Gav, and KK. You 4 have kept in contact with me and have kept the server alive enough that it doesn't die, like a morbidly obese man on life support. All jokes aside, I appreciate you 4 a bunch. Thank you, my dear friends, and I hope to see you again soon.